Have you ever noticed that some people run away just when they find what they always said they wanted? It sounds contradictory, but it's real. The fear of intimacy can be greater than the desire to love. And that's why so many women feel confused when they get involved with someone who seemed promising, but suddenly grows cold, distances himself, and disappears emotionally. The truth is harsh. It's not that he doesn't like you. It's that he's afraid of getting attached. The problem is that nobody teaches this. Most people believe that if there's a connection, everything will work out. But it doesn't. When there's an emotional block, even the most sincere love becomes a threat. And no matter how much you hurt, try to understand, justify the absence with, "He just needs time." You're still begging for crumbs of an affection that should be whole. But calm down. Understanding what lies behind this avoidance can change everything. Do you want to know why someone sabotages good relationships, even when they have real feelings? Then stay with me, because what you're about to discover could open your eyes in a way that no one else has had the courage to do. On the outside, she seems secure, even detached. But on the inside, she has an immense desire to be loved. Only this desire clashes with her fear of intimacy. Avoidance isn't a lack of love. It's an excess of fear. Fear of losing control, of getting attached and being hurt again. So the heart wants to connect, but the mind shouts, "Be careful. Don't get too involved." It's like someone who is cold, but is afraid to get under the blanket because last time she got stuck and suffocated. This woman may even enter into romantic relationships, but always with one foot back, rehearsing emotional detachment. She even enjoys the company, the exchange, the affection. But when things start to get deep, she pulls back. Sometimes with a rational excuse, other times disappearing without explanation. This pattern of emotional sabotage is subtle. She says she wants true love, but gets scared when someone really available comes along. Sometimes she sabotages herself, before it even works out of sheer fear of getting attached. Deep down, it's not about the other person. It's about everything that vulnerability represents. But this story, and this fear, doesn't begin in adulthood. And that's when the root of avoidance begins to show. When a child learns that expressing emotions causes rejection or discomfort, they find a way out. They hide everything. This is how emotional blockages are born. Many avoidant children grew up hearing that they were being too sensitive, or were simply ignored when they cried or asked to be held. The result? They become adults who avoid feeling out of pure self-protection. Vulnerability, for them, has become a danger, not a path. In practice, this generates a self-sabotaging behavior so natural that it doesn't even seem dysfunctional. These are women who pride themselves on their self-sufficiency, who take care of everything themselves, but who feel empty when night falls. Have you ever heard someone say, "I'm enough"? Often, this is just an echo of a childhood where depending on others was too risky. When they fall in love, this pattern reappears. If the bond begins to tighten, affective detachment ensues. This is why love relationships become an internal battlefield. At the slightest sign of intimacy, there is an almost automatic impulse to pull away. She feels something is wrong, but doesn't understand what. And when someone tries to get closer, she longs for that connection. But at the same time, she feels suffocated. This explains why emotional chaos sometimes feels more familiar than peace. And that's exactly where the next paradox comes in. It sounds contradictory, but for those with avoidant attachment, emotional stability is uncharted and therefore frightening territory. When the love relationship is calm, affectionate, and predictable, the avoidance mind starts to make excuses. She wonders if it's too real, too good to be true, or too boring. What seems like balance to her can seem like a risk of losing emotional control. This is because peace requires surrender, and those who have lived through an emotionally neglectful childhood have learned to survive by being tough, closed off, and independent. A healthy emotional bond, which invites vulnerability, threatens all the armor she has built to protect herself. That's why many people avoid getting really attached. They don't run away from the person. They run away from what that person awakens within them. Sensations that they have spent their lives trying not to feel. Behind the scenes, all this manifests itself as emotional detachment, emotional sabotage, and even pointless fights. Have you noticed how some people seem to provoke arguments just when everything is going well? That's not a lack of love. It's fear. Fear that, by giving in, they will lose control, become dependent, or worse, discover that they don't know how to be loved. And it's in this scenario that the most invisible signs of self-sabotage begin to appear. The self-sabotaging woman with avoidant attachment rarely shouts. She whispers. She can disappear for days, claim emotional exhaustion, or simply lose interest out of the blue. It all seems subtle, but those who live with her feel that something has broken, even for no apparent reason. It's as if every time the emotional connection starts to strengthen, she takes a few steps back, like someone touching a wound that's still open. Often, she says that she needs space, that she's not ready, or even that you deserve someone better. These are nice phrases, but they hide a harsh truth. The fear of intimacy. The fear that, when she is seen in full, she won't be truly loved. This emotional block comes with old beliefs, often formed back when expressing feelings was synonymous with weakness or punishment. A practical example? She starts arguing over silly things just after an incredible weekend together. She creates distance, and you ask yourself, but what happened? The answer isn't in the now, it's in her past. This kind of emotional self-sabotage is silent, but devastating. And for those who experience it from the other side, a cruel question remains. How do you get closer without being pushed away? Being with someone who has an avoidant attachment can be exhausting. Not because they're bad, but because their emotional detachment puts you on an eternal emotional roller coaster. You feel like you need to do more, give more, prove more, all to maintain something that should be flowing. But if you need to annul yourself to maintain a loving relationship, is it still love, or just fear of being alone? The biggest mistake is thinking that your love can cure her emotional blockage. It can't. Healing avoidance comes from within, and requires her to make an honest move towards her own vulnerability. If you find yourself walking on eggshells, trying not to provoke withdrawal, it's a sign that the dynamic has already turned into self-sabotage disguised as love. In this equation, the only person who is losing themselves is you. What should you do? Look at how much you're putting up with. If you send long messages and receive monosyllabic replies, if you plan dates and she always puts them off, if I need some time has become a routine, maybe it's time to stop. The question is not, how do you convince her to stay? But why do you insist on a space where you only exist when you give up on yourself? And this question can take you much further than you think. Have you noticed how many behaviors that once seemed confusing now make sense? Avoidance, fear of intimacy, emotional sabotage. None of this is random. But the big question remains. Are you going to keep trying to fix someone who doesn't even really want to be seen? Or are you going to start looking at yourself, at what you deserve, at what you tolerate? Having a relationship with someone who is emotionally unavailable has made you lose how many parts of yourself? How many dreams have you swallowed in silence waiting for them to finally be ready? The truth is that you can live a healthy relationship, but it starts when you stop accepting so little in exchange for so much. So, are you ready to make that move? If this content has helped you see more clearly, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, you'll continue to learn about how to break cycles, heal wounds, and build emotional bonds with more awareness and lightness. Shall we go together?